Now, we discovered previously that the solution to an equation in two variables is just one solution consisting of two. In order to help us think about these solutions, we want a way of picturing a pair like this. When we go to picture a pair of values like this, we want to picture them as a single point. In order to do that, we need a way of putting together two number lines to describe a single point. How do we do it? Well, the way that we put together our two number lines is to draw them at a right angle to one another. A right angle, remember, that just refers to a square corner. The reason that we choose to draw them at a right angle to each other is that then all of these corners are the same as each other. The place where we choose to have them cross is at the point 0, 0. That is, where I put the 0 on one number line. So my horizontal number line is 0, 1, 2, 3, and then off to the left, -1, -2, -3. Going upward, 0, 1, 2, 3, and downward, -1, -2, -3. Of course, I could continue these number lines as far as I liked in any direction, because they are, after all, number lines. They go on forever. But this place where they cross, the place where the zeros on both number lines coincide, has a special name. It's called the origin. Think origin, originate, start out. We can think of all of these lines as two directions coming out of the origin. Now, our two number lines also have names. Each number line is called an axis. We assign each of our axes, axes being the plural of axis, right? So if I refer to two axes, each one is an axis. Each of our axes will correspond to one of our variables. If our variables are x and y, we say that the horizontal axis is the x-axis, and the vertical axis is the y-axis. And we label them with a little letter x near the right end of the x-axis, and a little letter y near the top end of the y-axis. How would we use this to visualize the point, say, -1, 2? Now that's an ordered pair, right? That's the point where x is -1 and y is 2. We understand the x-coordinate as telling us how far to the left or right of the origin we are. So, if we want our x to be -1, here is -1 to the left of the origin. All of the points this far to the left of the origin have x-coordinate -1. The x-coordinate tells us how far to the right or left we are. The y-coordinate says how far above or below the origin our point is. So we find +2 on the y-axis. All of these points on a horizontal line going through 2, all of the points that are this far above the x-axis, all of these points have a y-coordinate of 2. So the point that has an x-coordinate of -1 and a y-coordinate of 2, that's going to be this point. This point is -1, 2. It's 1 unit to the left of the origin and 2 units above the origin. At the same time, we look at where the vertical line through -1 crosses the horizontal line through +2. Alright, let's see another example and see the way that we usually go about finding a point. So here I've drawn a pair of lines. I'm going to label the horizontal one x, the vertical one y. I'm going to mark out the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 going to the right, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5 going to the left. Going up, I'm going to mark out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and going down, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. Now notice as I'm doing this, I'm making use of this square grid in the background. Now you can buy packages of paper that have this kind of square grid in the background. It's called graph paper. Or you can go online and print off graph paper for free. Though of course it costs what it costs you to print. If you just need a few pieces of graph paper, printing them off is probably your best move. If you need a whole bunch of graph paper, like say you're about to do a graphing unit in an algebra class, you might want to go out and get a package of graph paper. You can get them at anywhere that sells school supplies, like you could get them at Target or even at Walgreens. Now there are two things that we might want to do with a grid like this. We might want to we encounter a point and we say, what is this point? Now this point is going to be labeled with an ordered pair, right? Its label will consist of 2 numbers. Its x-coordinate and its y-coordinate. Remember, the x-coordinate tells us how far to the left or right we are, how far we are along the x-axis. So we think about the vertical line coming up from this point to the x-axis, right? What we're doing is matching this point up with the x-axis, and we see that it matches up with x equals 4. For the y-coordinate, we want to see how far up or down we are. We want to match this point up with a point on the y-axis. And we see that this point matches up with y equals -3. Why do we go up and down when we want to see the x-coordinate? We want to go to the x-axis without moving left or right. Similarly, Why do we want to go left or right? When we want to find out what the y-coordinate is, we want to go to the y-axis without moving up or down. Okay, so we might encounter a point and want to find out what it is. We might also want to sketch a point that we know about. To sketch the point 4, 1, well, 4 is the x-coordinate. I'm going to find 4 on the x-axis. Right. Every point on this line that goes through 4, every point on here has x-coordinate 4. I'm going to find 1 on the y-axis. Every point at this height has y-coordinate 1. Where do they cross? Right here. We see that we're 1 unit above the x-axis, 4 units to the right of the y-axis. This is the point 4, 1.